Welcome back to South Texas. This week on the show, producer Seth Johnson joins Alan Rovig of McWhorter Custom Rifles. They're heading to eastern Colorado to chase giant whitetail. Stay tuned for more Brush Country Monsters.
December 1st, cameraman Chase and I are in eastern Colorado, headed to a non-disclosed location to hunt a giant whitetail. Alan Rovig of McWhorter Custom Rifles came out here last year and hunted with Earl Osterling of Out West Avengers, and he shot a giant, 187 inch. And he said, Seth, let's put in, and we got to come out here this year.
Sometimes a hunter just knows that his chances of harvesting a giant buck are better than good. On this week's episode of BCM, we follow producer Seth Johnson as he travels to eastern Colorado to meet up with Alan Rovig of McWhorter Custom Rifles to try their odds at giant whitetail bucks. For years, Colorado has been the destination of choice for huge mule deer bucks. But over the last 10 years, the eastern plains of the state have grown some exceptionally large white-tailed deer.
We met Earl hunting with us in Kansas about 2 years ago and really didn't know much about Colorado whitetails. And Earl said, boy, you're missing out if you don't come out there and try some of these big whitetails with us. So last year I hunted with Earl and killed a real big 6x6. It was in the 180s, and I led on to Seth what had happened and how good the hunt had been, and Seth just wanted to go. So
he called me up and said, Seth, we need to put in together and see if we can get drawn and go out there in 2012 and try to hunt two big whitetails.
I told him the reason it was so good was everybody had to draw, and so we put in together with a 7% chance of draw, and both of us drew tags this year. Well, you did make it in time for the season.
Absolutely.
Good, how are you?
All right.
We hunt a lot of different animals here in Colorado, all over the state, and whitetails are my personal favorite. I've hunted whitetails from Texas to Canada to Kansas to the East Coast to now Colorado, and whitetails just hold a special place in my heart. They're a great animal. I mean, they're tough to hunt, but they are huntable. A big animal is huntable if you can put the time in, or if you can find someone that can put the time in.
Lots of agriculture coupled with thick cottonwood creek bottoms makes for a perfect whitetail habitat. Combine that with extremely low hunting pressure due to the difficulty in drawing a tag, and you will understand why eastern Colorado consistently registers Boone and Crockett whitetail bucks.
We've got enough light left to get these guns checked. What are you shooting this year?
I got my 300 Ultra Mag.
300 Ultra Mag. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a 7 STW with a 180 grain burger. You shooting the 210s?
No, I'm shooting 185.
185s, okay.
We met Alan and we went over to the local rifle range to sight in our rifle.
Day before opening day, Seth and I are here at eastern Colorado at a gun range here. We're gonna check these rifles. I'm gonna check mine first. I'm shooting a 7mm STW, shooting a 180 grain Burger VLD hunting bullet. This gun will shoot that bullet about 3,200 feet a second, so it's real flat, a lot of knockdown. Shooting the bottom target.
Okay.
Right where it's supposed to be. I drove out here, so this was in the case the whole way, no airlines to consider, so it's right where it's supposed to be. I'm ready to go in the morning. We'll see if Seth's gun shoots where it's supposed to shoot. That good?
Yeah.
After sighting in their rifles, Alan and Seth returned to the motel with a surprise in store.
I had Rudy's Anywhere deliver beef brisket and ribs and smoked turkey and some of their creamed corn, and everybody that was in camp, I'm telling you, we were excited. It was a feast. So the meal was fantastic, all of our bellies were full, and we were just ready for the opening morning.
Brush Country Monsters is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, the most accurate hunting rifles in the world. Burger Bullets, shoot better, shoot burger. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue. Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. And John Burroughs High Adventure Company, the been there, done that company.
Confidence is critical in any shooting sport. Whether hunting or bench rest competition, you'll have confidence every time you pull the trigger on a McWhorter custom rifle. Their 1/2-inch MOA guarantee assures tack driving accuracy on your next outing. McWhorter Custom Rifles, the most accurate hunting rifles in the world. Function, accuracy, reliability, every time. Find out more at McWhorterRifles.com.
Brush Country Monsters is also brought to you by Hot Mox, Pack Some Heat, Miopta, European optics for hunting, see more, hunt longer, Hart Rifle Barrels, unparalleled performance, handcrafted one at a time, Borden Accuracy, makers of the Rimrock, Alpine, and Timberline custom actions, and Realtree, family, friends, and the outdoors.
Opening day, Eastern Colorado, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're going to a blind where we overlook a big agriculture field with some center pivots. Hoping to see a bunch of deer. If I see a giant soon after daylight, we're gonna end this hunt early, I can tell you. Opening morning rolls around and Earl takes us out to our blind. We had to get there real early, get set up, and we were expecting deer to be moving and coming past in front of us to our bedding area. Well, we got there, we got early, and soon enough, honestly, it was still pretty dark and I could look up and I could see deer coming across the field. Zero camera light. All the deer left the agricultural field, went to bed before there was even the first shooting light, much less camera lights.
Day one, first morning out. Looks like we're hunting cows, but we're not. We're actually hunting a big field, a travel area.
First morning was pretty much a bust. The deer moved really early. I could tell there might have been some bucks in the group, but honestly, I just knew there were deer and that was it.
Well, first day, a bit unsuccessful. We're thinking we're probably going to change locations this afternoon. Got some warmer temps, especially for this time of year. So hoping we're gonna sit a big agricultural field this afternoon. If that doesn't work, we're gonna try a tree stand in the morning. So all we can do is just stick with it and see what happens.
So that afternoon, Earl tells me, he said, this is gonna be a little different. Would you mind sitting on some hay bales? And you know, I'm from the southeast. For me, I grew up hauling hay. It was, you know, the little square bales I could throw in the back of a truck. He said, no, these are the big hay bales.
We use a variety of different methods to harvest the deer. We use some ground blinds, we use some tree stands, and we'll also use whatever is there in the environment, old feed houses. We used some alfalfa bales, big alfalfa bales, and got on top of them.
And they're stacked about 6 deep, something to that effect.
This is the craziest setup I've ever hunted, but you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do.
We basically just sat and waited it out. It wasn't until about an hour and a half before dark, deer started moving. And we had our first buck that comes walking out, and pretty young deer. Maybe he was a 3-year-old. He would have been a 10-point. He had a broken tine and just a pretty young buck. You could tell that the genetic potential was in this area for sure. We also had turkeys, just a load of turkeys, and they decided they all at once wanted to come out into this field. And you know, I'm from the southeast. I love the turkey hunt, so it was super cool watching all these turkeys filter out into this field. I'm talking hundreds of them at one time. I had a beautiful 10-point. He walks through the drainage ditch, pops up into the field. It's the first afternoon. I'm sitting there talking to my cameraman Chase. I said, gosh, that's a beautiful deer. Just the year before, Alan Rovig had shot an awesome 170 class deer, and on the first afternoon I felt like I didn't need to shoot this buck. Plus I knew Earl's management program. He was wanting a 10-point to be at least a 5.5-year-old deer. I'll tell you the truth, I would have loved to have shot that deer anywhere else in the country, just because that's the kind of hunter I am. It doesn't take a giant deer to get me excited, so a 150 class deer is a trophy in my book. But I definitely want to follow the game plan of the outfitter and stick with what he was wanting us to shoot.
This week we're continuing our series on the elements that it takes to build a perfect custom rifle. We've done all the metal work, we've done the bedding, we've done the aesthetic work. Now you've got your rifle. Alan, talk to them a little bit about what we do next.
Well, once we determine what optics that a guy wants to put on there, we mount those optics, we take it to the reloading area, and we have pet loads for pretty much every rifle we've done, because we've done them so much, we just know what works, and we use that as a starting point when we're doing our load development. Each and every gun, we break the barrel in completely while we're doing our load development. We shoot and clean throughout the whole load development process. We determine where the lands are, we do specific bullet seating, and we're shooting that to determine what the optimal bullet seating depth is for that caliber in that barrel. We're working powder loads up and down from a known starting point. And when that gun, we feel like we finally got it just shooting a hole, then we clean it, we shoot a fowler, and we shoot three-shot groups, all of which must be under ½ an inch, or else we go back to the drawing board. Okay. When we do that, we'll usually post that as the average group size, those last three-shot groups.
Right.
We've got a ½ an inch minute of angle guarantee on everything. Most of our guns shoot better than that. They probably average in the 3s. And you can take some factory ammo and shoot them through our guns, and it's going to shoot real well. A lot of it's going to shoot super well, but it's not going to shoot up to the full potential of the load development that we do for these guns. And I think that's the finishing feature of a true custom gun, is to have custom load development done for your exact gun.
Right. And we give them the load development, we give them 20 rounds of ammo, so that when they get the gun, they can take it to the range and they're ready to go shooting and then go hunting.
That's right. And if they're a hand loader, they can replicate that ammo.
That's right.
So, but that's how we top it off, with specific load development, and that's your on-target tip of the week, brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles.
On Brush Country Monsters, we've hunted deer all over the world, from the rolling hills of Montana all the way to the south of Patagonia. We've put Berger bullets to the test. We can confidently say that Berger bullets perform at all ranges and velocities to produce devastating results. Shoot better. Shoot Berger. To find out more, visit BergerBullets.com.
Looking for your next sporting destination? Let the High Adventure Company take you there. Sporting Classics magazine says the High Adventure Company has an unparalleled record for developing small, high-quality operations into some of the finest sporting destinations in the world. John Burrell's High Adventure Company, your connection to the finest destinations worldwide. Log on at highadventurecompany.com. High Adventure, the been there, done that company.
Binoculars, spotting scopes, and rifle scopes used on Brush Country Monsters were provided by Miopta, European optics for hunting. See more, hunt longer.
We got a game plan. We know there's a big deer in the area, a bigger deer than the one we've been seeing, and we're going to abandon the haystacks, and we're going to try to get in one of these drainage ditches and cut him off.
When we actually get off the stand, we're going to get off that, we're going to find a ditch, and we're going to make a stalk on them. And it's funny because a lot of hunters aren't used to doing that with whitetails. So the fact that they can get out of the stand and get on the ground where they're eye level and where they have some cover or very little cover, and actually make a move on the deer and understand that in this open country, if you're stealthy about it and you've got someone that knows what they're doing, you've got a big advantage, and you can actually move on them when they're in the field and you think you'd be seen. But if you're good at it, you can get really close to them.
The way it works is you could actually lay in the ditch and get set up and use the mounds of dirt and just hunt eye level with these deer. So we picked this out a spot and we got set up perfect in this ditch and just waited for these deer to start moving. We see lots of those, we see some young bucks, we see all kinds of deer activity, and they pop out and they're only about 300 yards from us. One of the bucks, you know it, was the same awesome 150 class 10 point that we had seen first 2 nights. And again, I was really testing me, because honestly guys, I wanted to shoot this deer, but talked myself out of it, so all we could do was just go back. Now, one of the guys in camp, he had had an awesome afternoon and shot a huge buck. I'm telling you, this thing had a big old Roman nose, big 10 point, huge main beams, awesome representative of the deer in this area, and it was super cool to see somebody with some success. Now guys, I was hitting the panic button at this time. I had one morning hunt left before I had to leave. I had to get back to my day job, and I just knew it. You know, I was like, we got one more morning. Earl, what do we do? So it's my last morning. I'm gonna drop you off right at the blind. I want you to jump in there. I want you to sit still and be quiet as you can. There may be a big buck out there, so you just need to be on your toes, so to speak. Well guys, that's exactly what happened.
There's deer all over this place, but we've been fighting the hot weather. So this is the first cold morning that we've got. We're actually in here real early, and anywhere from 300 to 500 yards out there, we've already got a deer, a field full of deer. We had been judging this deer for quite a while. I could tell he was a big mainframe 10. When he turned profile, I could see really tall 2s and 3s on him, and I said, ugh. I said, Chase, we need to shoot this deer. He's easily gonna be a 150 class deer. Let's do it. The deer turned profile. I felt really comfortable with my shot. I said, Chase, are you ready? He said, let's go. Squeeze the trigger, boom, buck drops right in his tracks. Buck down! Oh, I'm excited. And guys, I'm telling you, if you know me, I get excited, and I was really excited about shooting this buck. Couldn't wait to get my hands on this deer. 400-yard walk. In my mind, I'm thinking I had shot a 150 class deer. I start walking and I go, I'm getting closer and closer, and those tines keep getting longer and longer, and he gets getting more and more mass on him. Guys, I'm telling you, this was a solid 160 class deer. I'm super happy. He's got big mass, carries the mass out, long main beam that sweeps up. This side looks super awesome. A little busted up, but you know what? I don't care. He's a great deer. And I'm talking about last morning luck. Super happy to take him. So with my big buck down, it was time for me to head home. Alan Rovig, he had been along on the trip the whole time, but he didn't have a cameraman with him. Now my cameraman Chase was going to film him the rest of the week, and they were going to chase a big buck.
I've got another job for you. If you fail me, they're all gone.
Big order. I'm on it.
We need this to work.
Get it now!
I have it under control. I got Rudy's.
Dad, you can order Rudy's Barbecue online.
Rudy's now shipping nationwide.
Cold feet? Try the revolutionary Hot Mocs. Hot Mocs are the pullover boot warmers that are guaranteed to keep your feet warm. Just place an activated heat pack in the Hot Mocs heat pocket, then pull Hot Mocs over your boots. It's that simple. Used by professional hunters nationwide.
Don't let cold feet spoil your hunt. Pack some heat with Hot Mox.
Look for other Hot Mox products at a sporting goods retailer near you.
With Seth's hunt a success, he had to leave for his flight in Denver. Alan still had a few days remaining to hunt and was determined to find a giant whitetail for himself.
Chase Greenville and I, the cameraman, we get to hunt the rest of the time together. And we had already hunted several areas where we'd seen a lot of does and a lot of young bucks. So we tried 2 or 3 times to find a mature buck. Hunted morning, afternoon, middle of the day. When we weren't hunting, we were scouting. We were just putting everything into it. The weather's really, really warm, unseasonably warm for Colorado. Probably wasn't 30 degrees this morning, gonna go up to about 70 today. So it's got the mature deer just laying down, not on their feet. So the morning of the 5th day, we had 1 buck that was probably in the mid 150s, but we felt like the deer was, only 3 years old, so we passed on him. Earl came back and said, I still got this buck named Krabby, and nobody's seen Krabby, but we still know he's alive. Nobody's killed him. Been 6 days. We're running out of time. We got to get it done, so we'll better get going. So Chase and I decide we're gonna change the sides of the highway and go after Krabby. We decide where we're going to sit in this series of flat canals on this irrigated farmland next to the river. We sit there and we see a lot of really good deer and young deer. One deer that we considered shooting had his G4 and his G3 broken on one side. So, not wanting to shoot a broken deer, we let him pass. I looked at a buck that I thought was a shooter. I said, I think that's a shooter. He's a shooter. He's got all his points. Good mass, good mass. Well, heavy buck. Get ready, and he was still getting ready. Secondary range on him. And I was looking at the deer trying to make sure he was mature. And when he turned his head sideways and I saw the mass that he had in the tine length, I knew that we had a shooter. It was a pretty good distance from us.
You ready?
He was around 500 yards at that time. So once Chase gave me the okay and I got settled in on him,
stop.
We waited for the deer to present an ethical shot.
Stop. I can't get him. Okay. Ready?
He's down. Wow. He's down. I mean, he's those burgers, boy. Wow. We took the shot. The deer dropped in his tracks, and we had a great Southeast Colorado trophy on the ground after 6 hard days of hunting. When we got to this deer, I realized how big he was. He was mid 170s. Man, a fine East Colorado buck. Look at the mass on this deer. The shot actually was 468 yards, and he never knew we were there, and had a real good rest on those sticks. And without good equipment like our half-minute angle rifle and this Miopta scope. The Miopta is calibrated for this 7 STW. We're using a board in action, a Hart barrel, McMillan stock. That's what we make our guns with. And top it with that Miopta. It's got the straddle lines that are calibrated for this gun all the way out to 800 yards. So pretty much, I got the range on him. I held the 450 just an inch high and hit him. Had the tuft of hair right here, hit him right in the shoulder, and he went down. That 180 grain Berger bullet, high BC. Really an easy shot. About a 4 mile an hour crosswind that we held off a little bit for. So a perfect end to a great hunt. Out West Adventures. Just Earl Osterling, just what a great host and a great guide.
Thanks for being with us this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. If there's anything you want to find out about us or our sponsors, check out brushcountrymonsters.com. Now, next week, we have the Zates family in camp, and they're here to help us with a little management here on the Novilles. Until next week, always remember, keep God and family first.